Before we begin, I would like to mention a couple things. One, this is my first review, so let me know in the comments what I should fix for the next one. Two, this is technically the first time I'm using my voice in a video, so this is technically my voice reveal. Anyways, let's get into the video. Elitch Gardens is a theme park in downtown Denver, Colorado. The park takes up about 65 acres of land. The park is also next to a stadium featuring teams like the Denver Nuggets. While I won't go over the park's history much, there are a couple things that I feel like should be mentioned. One, this is the park's second ever location. Their first location they had to move from due to lack of space. Two, the park used to be owned by Six Flags, and during that time, that's when most of the rides were built. The third thing I need to mention is due to the park's current standpoint, they are likely to move again, and no one knows to where. Now let's get started with the actual layout of the park and going over all the major stops and rides, and sort of going over how good they are and what they are. Now the actual layout of the park is kind of interesting. Due to the lack of space, they weren't able to incorporate a typical hub-and-spoke design. This means that the entrance is on one side of the park and everything else is on the entire other side. Now, speaking of the entrance, while it never really looks the best, it is a solid entrance way for this style of park. Once you actually enter, you start by going into an indoor area that has some gift shops and I believe also an arcade. While I didn't really spend much time besides just passing through to enter and exit, I did pick up some merchandise on my way out, and it is actually pretty cool. Once you get past the indoor area, you enter the main hub, which features a carousel and the entrance to the water park. While I never went into the water park, on the day I was going there, it was far more busy than the main theme park itself. To the left of this hub is the main street of the park, which features a bunch of shops and a few small restaurants, and at the very end is a Ferris wheel, which stands as the centerpiece of the park. Now from here I will continue to talk about the layout of the park, but going counterclockwise around it. The first couple of rides on your right after you hit the Ferris wheel are a couple of spinning flat rides called Hollywood and Vine and Spider. Now keep in mind I did not ride most of these rides, and I won't really go over much about the rides I did not ride. After those rides, there is a slingshot ride and then a small indoor arcade. Now, inside the arcade, there is actually another ride, a dark ride called Kaleidoscape. This was one of the few rides I did actually go on, and it is actually a pretty cool dark ride. After you pass through the arcade, there is a flat ride called Dragon Wing, which actually used to be a Batman-themed ride when this was a Six Flags park. Then, after that, there's the first of 6 coasters at this park. This one being the Vekoma SLC Mind Eraser. Now, while most people do think that Mind Eraser is a pretty bad ride, I found it to not be a terrible experience. Even though it was rough, I did enjoy the forces on it, and I do think it is a solid coaster. Although it is the most popular of the 6 coasters in the park, so if you want to ride this, you probably would need to head there first. After this is the first major restaurant in the park, with it just being a simple burger restaurant. But moving on, after that is the park's sky coaster called Accelerator. After this, there is a bridge, and across from that bridge is the main area where most of the park's rides are. After you first cross over the bridge, on your left there is a swinging ship attraction, and then on your right there are 2 more of the park's 6 roller coasters. These 2 roller coasters are the Vekoma Boomerang, called Boomerang, and the Intamin Halfpipe, called, Halfpipe. Both of these are pretty good rides, and while they're not the most comfortable experiences, they do provide some decent forces. Also, right next to them is a drop tower, which unfortunately I did not get the pleasure of riding because it was closed on my visit, but I do think it would be a good ride. After that is a Larson Loop attraction, followed by the next roller coaster in the park, Twister 3 Storm Chaser. Twister 3 Storm Chaser is a wooden coaster that was an upgrade of Twister 2, which was also originally built off of the Mr. Twister ride that existed at the park's first location. After that, there is a Skyflyer attraction and a Tilt-A-Whirl ride. Next is one of the park's two main water attractions that isn't in the water park. It is the Shoot the Chute style log ride, and while I didn't ride it, I did watch it, and people do get really wet on it. Now, from this point, we have to cross back over the bridge we had crossed to get to this section of the park, because that's the only way in between these two sections. After we cross over the bridge, there is a dining location, which is essentially a large food court filled with multiple dining options with American pizza, burgers, salad, chicken, and a lot of foods. Then, continuing on, there is the 5th of 6 roller coasters, Sidewinder, which is one of 3 remaining Aero shuttle loops left in the world. I would say this is the best ride in the park, considering the forces it gives and the historical factor of it. I do think this is a ride worth riding. Then, down that same pathway, there is a River Rapids, which is the other of the park's 2 main water rides. And then there's also a simple spinning flat ride right over there. But then after that, we move on to the next area. Now, this next area, there are 2 things I need to mention. 1, it's a kids area. And 2, it's also the final area in the park we have to cover. This area has a bunch of small kid rides, from a small train to one of those simple rotating bus rides. But the final thing I need to mention is this is the location where the final of these 6 coasters is, which is Blazin' Buckaroo, a simple E&F Miler kids coaster. This concludes the entire park, and overall, I would say if you are in the area, you should definitely go here. Although, this is definitely not a park to make an entire trip out of. Overall, I would give this park a 7 out of 10, which I know is a lot to some people, because this is generally a park that's considered to not be very good. The park would definitely need improvements to get better, though. But with it possibly moving in the future, I just don't think it will get any. Although, I have had worse times at Knott's Berry Farm, so that's still a good plus. Anyways, I hope to see you in the next video if you've made it this far, and please consider liking and subscribing. I would really appreciate that. Thank you.